For £55, Blackpool Pleasure Beach offers a VIP Speedy Pass, which promises to reduce your wait times by 90%. You can use it as many times as you like on virtually all the rides, subject to availability and technical issues, of course. But it's basically an unlimited fast-track ticket. But is it worth it? For those of you who want a short and simple answer, yes, it is. But there's a few things you should consider before you purchase. I went to Pleasure Beach on one of the busiest days of the year, so it was a Saturday during the August bank holiday with a late park close and fireworks. So me and my friend Alex decided to splash out on some of these VIP passes. Here's what you need to know about them, and a few of my thoughts on the park and its attractions as well. First things first, this pass doesn't include your park admission, so you have to pay for a basic entry ticket for each member of your group as well. It's advertised as the faster version of the park's standard Speedy Pass, which for £35 allows you to queue virtually for the advertised wait on any attraction. So you don't have to stand in the queue, the app just sends you a notification when it's your turn to ride. But with the VIP version, you only wait for 10% of the posted queue time. It seemed like a bit of a steal to me. You pay more than that for even a limited number of fast tracks over at the Merlin parks. I did wonder, though, how it would affect the general queue times, because with more people in fast-track lanes, the longer the standby queues are for all the other guests, and higher fast-track prices obviously mediate that problem. But we went for it and booked our tickets and our VIP passes, which you activate at the park entrance via the app. Everything from then on is done on the app as well, and here's exactly how it works. If a ride or attraction has a standby queue of, say, 30 minutes, you only have to wait 3 minutes before you head over to the ride. But this doesn't mean you'll only be waiting 3 minutes before you get to the air gates. There's a few more steps on top of that. Going back a few steps though, you open the app, choose what ride you want to go on in the Speedy Pass section, press it, confirm, then wait until a little countdown timer winds down to 0. That's when you head to the Speedy Pass queue line. What happens next varies slightly from ride to ride, but generally you'll show your booking on the app to a member of staff who have to manually redeem it for you by punching in a few codes. That's when you'll be let through into the main queue, pretty close to where you'll board the ride or attraction. In some cases, you may have to scan your general admission ticket at a turnstile as well. And then you'll be loaded onto the ride along with the other guests. So the kind of advertised 10% wait time doesn't mean you're guaranteed to only wait 4, 5 or 6 minutes before you're physically sitting in a seat on the attraction ready to go. It's how long you wait before your allotted time slot to head to the Speedy Pass queue. You can only book one ride at a time as well. For example, our first ride of the day was the big one, of course, because it's a Blackpool landmark. And it had a 40-minute queue first thing in the morning, so for us, that was a 4-minute wait. Once our 4-minute countdown had ended, it took about 10 minutes from entering the Speedy queue line to actually getting onto the ride. And that was largely because they had to stick another train on anyway. On other attractions, we barely waited at all. It does just kind of depend on how many other Speedy Passers are in the queue during the same time slot as you. As for the general queues, as expected, at 96% full and with a 10 p.m. park close, it was a very busy day and seemed to get busier after lunchtime when the sun came out. Most of the bigger rides like Valhalla, Icon, Big One and Big Dipper had an average wait time of around 50 minutes, maxing out at 75 minutes on Icon. Some of the rides have staggered opening times, by the way, so Valhalla didn't open until 2 p.m. and Steeplechase didn't open until midday, but the majority of rides open at 10:15 in the morning. It's also worth noting that the VIP Speedy Passes will become unavailable if a certain attraction reaches capacity. Valhalla in particular was unavailable to book for a lot of the afternoon, probably because it got quite warm, so we just had to keep an eye on the app and book a slot the moment one became available. For those of you who haven't been to Pleasure Beach before and haven't heard much about Valhalla, this is your warning. You will get soaked on this ride. Almost everyone who comes off it looks as though they've swum round. I mean, look here, they even have someone sucking water out of the boats with like a hoover. This is no exaggeration. The water at the bottom of our boat when we got in was ankle deep, and that was before the ride had even began. Come prepared, bring spare socks, flip-flops, ponchos, raincoats, or even a spare pair of shorts like I did, because this is an excellent water ride, an excellent dark ride, and it's definitely not to be missed. Valhalla is based around Viking mythology and the afterlife. It's pretty mysterious if you haven't been on it before. There's not that many POVs of it, and even those that do exist are too dark really to capture the atmosphere inside. As a matter of fact, most of it takes place in full darkness, which just makes it really tense because you can't see what's coming next. And spoiler alert, what's coming are some pretty steep and sudden drops. The effects in there are first class too. We're talking mist, animatronics, a water vortex, and real fire. There are lockers right next to Valhalla, and you can rent one for 6, 7, or 8 quid for the whole day, depending on what size you need. So we just stuck our spare socks and shoes and clothes in there because there was just no way I could have comfortably walked around the park as wet as I was after riding it. But it's one of a kind and well worth changing your entire outfit for. With the VIP Speedy Pass, you can also book Enso at a discounted rate. Normally 25 quid, but VIP brings it down to 15. Enso basically refers to 2 back seats on Icon, which spin freely, giving a totally unpredictable ride each time. You don't join the standby queue with your VIP booking. Instead, you go straight to the dedicated Enso entrance when your timer runs out, which will be, like everything else on the Speedy Pass, 10% of the posted queue time on Icon. But once you're there, you still have to wait a bit, and that can be quite a long bit. Just one of Icon's trains has the 2 spinning Enso seats at the back, and on this day, Icon was running 3 trains. This meant that the Enso seats only appeared once every 3 dispatches. So with 5 people ahead of you, for example, you'd have to wait at least 9 dispatches before it was your turn. And that's only if both seats were filled each cycle. If people chose to ride solo, that could stretch to 15 dispatches. It's worth noting here that Enso is better when you ride it alone. It seems the spin is stronger and the ride feels more intense. So lots of people, including me, including Alex, chose to take it solo, which added to the wait time. Still, since it's a premium, VIP kind of style experience, I can completely see why riders want to make the most of it. So by all means, if you want to brave it alone, this is your chance, and you've paid for it. The ride ops seem to completely respect that as well. This was my first time riding Enso, by the way, and Icon, I think, is a good ride, certainly. I do really, really rate it, but I think Hyperia still tops it here in the UK. However, if we count Enso and Icon as 2 different rides, then Enso is, in my opinion, the best ride experience we have here in the UK. It's the closest you'll get to Ride to Happiness over at Plopsaland, though the 2 experiences are far from identical. You get more spins on Ride to Happiness, it's smoother, more intense, and the layout and different elements you go through on Ride to Happiness are better, in my opinion. It just feels like a much more complete spinning coaster experience. But Enso is intense. Every ride is different, and you will feel as though you're going to fall out. You'll go through inversions backwards, or even complete loops in a different position to when you entered. And, of course, it has Icon's long ride duration as well. My friend Alex said it was certainly the superior ride at Pleasure Beach, and he loved it, but one go was enough for him. Me being me, I obviously forked out for more rides. If I had my way, they'd make all the seats on Icon spinning seats. But of course, I totally understand it's not for everyone. Enso is a massive step up in intensity compared to Icon. Icon actually has a few meandering dead spots, in my opinion, and the launches aren't the most intense. But intensity isn't everything, and we all have different limits when it comes to these things. So try Icon on its own as it is before you try Enso, because it is a non-refundable experience. Back onto the Speedy Passes now. Even with a late park close and our passes, we didn't manage everything in one day. And that's because Pleasure Beach has a lot of great attractions. A lot of the older, more classic rides are so much better than they look on POVs or in pictures. Steeplechase, for example, is such a laugh. I really felt like I was riding a horse. Ergo, I felt like I was going to fall off, and there's some really sharp braking at the end of the ride there. Grand National, also a highlight. It opened back in 1935. like just over a decade after the Titanic sank. And the folks up north really get into the racing element of this ride. We had all kinds of rude gestures made at us, but we still won. Big Dipper is older still and looks so iconic. We picked a spot near to the droplet, cupola, whatever you think it looks like, to watch the fireworks, and it was beautiful. On the opposite side of things, Launchpad, which is the newest ride to open at Pleasure Beach, also exceeded expectations. I've been on a lot of these S&S shot towers, and this is easily my favourite. I was levitating at the top there for a good few seconds. Also, the countdown and launch timing didn't seem to always be synced up either, so you have no idea when you're going to be blasted off, which just adds to the anticipation. And how could I forget Infusion? It's a Vekoma SLC. Intense, a headbanger. The Speedy Passes were a bit awkward here because you queue up at the exit to the ride. It was the same on the Grand National, so with every train that rolled in, we had to squidge ourselves up against the wall to let people pass. But we got a shorter wait on all of the above. The only attraction we couldn't book via the Speedy Pass was the Ghost Train, and the day before Avalanche, the Mack bobsled, wasn't available on the pass either. So it seems as though you'll be able to use your Speedy Pass on the majority of the ride lineup. All in all, I would say if you can afford them, the VIP Speedy Passes are worth it, but it does all depend on your situation. I can see these being particularly attractive for people visiting as a couple, on their own, or even in a small group of friends. But at nearly £100 for the Speedy Passes and park entry per person, then it might not be so palatable for families. The standard Speedy Pass is a cheaper alternative. You still have to wait, but you don't have to stand in the queue line and wait. So you can go grab something to eat or try out another attraction, for example. Even without passes, though, I think you'll still be able to get a lot of rides in, particularly when the park's open for 12 hours. You might just have to prioritise a little bit. If I'm really honest, I felt like they were a bit slow loading some of the trains. Dispatches on some of the bigger attractions were taking a while. I actually expected the queue times to be higher than they were, particularly with how busy it was. What's important though, they clearly want you to have a good time at Pleasure Beach. The staff are cheerful, and considering it's right next to the Irish Sea, it's really well maintained and clean. Pleasure Beach has that nostalgic charm. It has historic rides and an atmosphere you don't get just anywhere. So the VIP Speedy Pass definitely gets a thumbs up from me, but honestly, pass or no pass, I'd still recommend visiting this park. I'm going to leave it there, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.